President Trump on Friday announcing that churches and other houses of worship should no longer need to abide by the same restrictions that have forced businesses across the country to close during this pandemic.
Some governors have deemed liquor stores and abortion clinics as essential, but have left out churches and other houses of worship. It's not right. So I'm correcting this injustice and calling houses of worship essential. I call upon governors to allow our churches and places of worship to open right now.
The president adding that if governors of those states won't let churches open, he will override them, though it's still not clear if he has the authority to do so. Joining us now, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar. Secretary, good morning. Thanks so much for being here, and happy Memorial Day to you.
Same to you, Sandra, and great to be with you and your viewers. Thanks.
Absolutely. It is Sunday morning, Memorial Day weekend, and millions of Americans across the country are waking up wondering if it is safe to return to their church or their place of worship this morning. You tell them what?
Well, we believe it is, as long as your church is taking appropriate precautions, and we've put out guidance to that effect. You know, my church back in Indianapolis, what are they doing? They've got appointments. You sign up so that they don't get overcrowded. You get screened for temperature as well as symptoms as you come in. You socially distance among family units in the church. The church has been sanitized by the cleaning workers there, so we can get back to work, back to school, and back to worship in safe ways because of President Trump's historic response here.
Secretary Azar, it has been fascinating to see some of the accommodations that churches made, even during the shutdown, holding online services, drive-up services, etc. The CDC guidelines have been released. We have some of them for you up on the screen. While they are lengthy, we chose some of the most important ones. Of course, that is making sanitizers and soaps handy for all the parishioners that enter the building, wearing cloth masks, keeping a high level of cleanliness, social distancing, of course. And what struck me also was limiting the sharing of books and hymnals in pews and chairs that are made available. You see the same thing with restaurants and menus. They're going to have one-time menus so that people aren't using the same things in front of them. The Washington Post this week was reporting that the reason for the delay in this guidance from the CDC on faith-based operations was because there was disagreement between the CDC and the White House. Are both in agreement on those guidelines, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, they are. You know, there's an iterative process that we engage in with CDC, the White House, and other parts of the interagency to just make sure whatever we put out is as good as possible. You know, it doesn't help a priest, a pastor, an imam, a rabbi much to get a 60-page single-space public health document that goes through everything as if you have a master's in epidemiology. So we put information like that out also, but we want to make sure we put actionable, understandable information out to the leaders of faith communities, but also our summer camp directors, our school leaders, and those who run small businesses. So it's just a process to make sure we're fitting our information to our audience.
I want to get to summer school and school in general in just a moment, as well as those summer camps. But first, I want to take this big picture because the FDA Commissioner, Dr. Hahn, this morning, he put out a statement and he essentially said, this virus is not contained yet. And so while we understand